If you had watched any piece of content that I had put out over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks, then I think you would find that the theme of pretty much all of it is that Israel Adesanya sucks at countering people. He's just not that good at it. Of course, you gift him something, he'll take it. But in terms of slipping your punch and stinging you with a hard counter you don't see coming, that is not what he does. It just isn't. And again, I'm not letting it go. Too many people called me crazy. Too many people said I was borderline exhibiting psychosis behavior because I was saying this was going to play a big factor in his fight with Dricus. I was saying Dricus is going to rush at him, face right in the air, winging punches. A counter will be there, but Adesanya, he's not going to take it. He is going to slide away back to range and then try to fight him at distance. That's what I kept saying, and people, they laughed at me. I felt like the Joker from the Joker movie because everybody laughed at him in that movie and everybody laughed at me, so I felt like him. And, what did we see in the actual fight? Adesanya just couldn't counter him, all right? Look at this moment right here. Right here, this is the moment. This is actually, Darren Till told Adesanya, this is the moment you need to step in and sting Dricus. He told him that in the entire paragraph and a half he wrote to him. When Darren Till fought Dricus, he actually countered him from a very similar position right here. Stepped in with a hard elbow. But guess what Israel Adesanya did right here? Nothing. He just backed away and let Dricus blitz. And you know what eventually happened? If you're not going to make Dricus pay for rushing at you with these huge winging punches, he's going to keep getting closer and closer, and eventually he's going to land. This exact same thing played out against Sean Strickland. Dricus was rushing at him with these huge punches. He was missing really badly, but Strickland was not finding any counters, so Dricus kept coming, and eventually he landed. And I had said at the end of my original recap video that, look, the person that's going to beat Dricus, the person that can put him away, is somebody that can hurt him, is somebody that can time his entries, catch him with a straight shot, and have enough power to really wobble him, really hurt him. That is something that both Strickland and Adesanya, they just couldn't do. And that person, you would think, would be Alex Pereira. And since then, Alex has said he wants to go back down to 185 to challenge Dricus, but Dricus said no, he wants to go up to 205. And look, I think both of those scenarios are very, very different, but I also think both of those scenarios, they wouldn't be close, but they wouldn't be close in inverse ways. You see, one thing I'm seeing a lot of people say about Dricus right now is that he has plot armor, which, I get it's kind of a joke. It's more to be funny because it looks like he sucks, but he keeps winning. But, it has nothing to do with plot armor. What it has to do with is the fact that, again, Dricus, gorilla on rollerblades. I've said this 1,000 times by now. But two, he legitimately has a diverse skill set. When he blitzes at you, when he's rushing at you, which is very, very fast, first of all, you don't know if he's just going to be throwing punches. You don't know if he's going to fall onto a spazzy takedown. You don't know if he's going to end the combination with a high kick or a body kick or a jump spinning back kick. And with the amount of power he has, with the amount of speed he has, it legitimately is a problem. He is very dangerous because he can do a lot of things, and he can do a lot of things with this giant, juicy, girthy frame of his. But then you look at Alex Pereira and you ask, okay, what are the elite skills he brings to the table that he could use against Dricus? Obviously, the calf kick is going to work against anybody he fights because it's so hard to read when it's coming. And even if you did happen to check one of Pereira's calf kicks, he's not winding up everything he has into it like Chris Weidman, where there is a detrimental consequence if you happen to get checked. No, he's throwing probably no more than 50% per calf kick. And even if you were to check it, it's not going to hurt him that bad. So he'd keep throwing. And number two, of course, it's his timing and his accuracy. A lot of people make a lot about Pereira's power, but the truth is the reason why he knocks you out stiff is because he catches you in the middle of your combination while you're not bracing for it and you're not ready for it. And the other big thing is Alex is fucking strong. When you go back and you look at his first fight with Adesanya, Izzy made it known, like, look, this guy is only 7 fights into his professional career. I'm 22 fights into my career. I'm going to grapple this guy. There is no way he's ready for me to take him down. But Adesanya was in for a rude awakening when he clinched up with him against the fence, had underhooks, and he just could not move Pereira. He was too strong. When Alex Pereira is up against the fence, the dude is like a fucking stone statue. But, Izzy did eventually get him down, and it comes from getting Pereira out in the middle and cutting angles on him, making him shift his balance. That is how you take him down. And that is why I do not like this fight for Pereira at 185. Look, he's still very big. He's still very strong at that weight class, but he's very skinny. He's very, very skinny at 185. He has to cut a tremendous amount of weight to get down there. It has a big effect on his chin. It's going to affect his cardio, and it's going to really hurt him in terms of grappling exchanges. See, when you get him up against the fence, when you get anybody up against the fence, you have to use strength to finish the takedown. You got to hike up the single leg and look for trips, because if you can lean up against a barrier behind you, you can hold yourself up. Combine that with being freakishly strong, it's going to be a nightmare taking you down. But again, out in the open, when you can shift your weight and make Pereira have to balance in different directions, that's how you're going to get him down. And Dricus is so spazzy with the takedowns, he will just fall on them, which that's going to be really hard to stop, but he also just shoots really good traditional double legs, and he's very, very explosive. And like I said, when you don't know if he's just going to be blitzing with punches, when you don't know if he's going to blitz and then combine it with a takedown, it's going to be really hard to read. And a skinny, frail Pereira at 185, I really don't like his odds in terms of these grappling exchanges, especially when you mix in the fact that, look, Dricus has had very specialized game plans tailored to who he was fighting in his last 3 fights. He fought Robert Whittaker very, very differently than he fought Sean Strickland and Adesanya. So to say you don't think Dricus is going to be weary at all of the dangers that Pereira presents in a matchup against him, I just wouldn't rely on it. I would say in theory, Dricus is probably going to try to minimize the opportunity he gives to Pereira in terms of countering him. And again, he has advantages in the grappling. His back takes are very fast. He has really good guard passing, and he throws that choke on very, very quickly. And a skinny, frail Pereira at 185, I just don't like that for him. I don't think it's very close. But with all of that being said, at 205, we got a completely different ball game. We have a very, very different fight, because Pereira at 205, again, way thicker, way stronger. His chin holds up a lot better, and he's fought some big motherfuckers at 205. Jan Blachowicz is way bigger than Dricus is. He's taller, he weighs a lot more, theoretically hits harder, and yeah, I guess you could probably say is a more skillful striker. I would say Dricus is more explosive, but, Jan, he got Alex pushed up against the fence, and it was really difficult for him to get a takedown because, again, up against the fence, Pereira is a goddamn stone wall. They stalled out from that position for a long time. And Pereira wasn't even trying to get underhooks. He was just kind of holding on to a guillotine that wasn't there. And it was still really difficult for Jan to finish the takedown. Again, when he did finish it, it was because he pulled Pereira away from the fence a little bit and started changing angles. And from there, he took his back, slapped the body triangle on, and he put in a rear naked choke that just objectively is way tighter than the choke that Dricus put on Adesanya. I mean, look, he's got a real, like it's not a fulcrum grip like Dricus had. This is a rear naked choke grip, and Jan's hand did get behind Pereira's head. This is a very, very tight choke that he was able to survive against a way bigger, way stronger guy. And not to mention, when you have your back taken, being on your knees like Pereira is right here is pretty dangerous because you run the risk of getting flattened out. But again, he was strong enough to be able to stay in this position, stay on his knees, and he made Jan have to carry himself on Pereira's back, which, again, he is a way bigger guy than Dricus. And then you look at how exactly they match up on the feet, and you see the thing about Dricus is, right, he's very, very durable, and you combine that with the fact that he covers up a lot and tries to stay pretty defensively sound. He's very difficult to hurt, but of course, Alex Pereira, you start covering up on him like Dricus does, that just opens up the left hook so easily. Adesanya was able to land some decent hooks right around the guard. Now, of course, the big difference maker was, though, Adesanya couldn't hurt Dricus like Pereira would be able to hurt him, and especially at 205. Now, again, in theory, you would say Dricus still poses some risk because of how spazzy his takedowns and his entries can be, but Pereira at 205, not worrying about Dricus's power nearly as much, he defends takedowns out in the open very decently. And again, Dricus would have to start blitzing. He would have to start rushing to set things up. And that is such a dangerous game against Pereira. Even if he theoretically did take him down, I don't think he'd be able to finish him. And if he starts covering up, that's just going to open up Pereira to land hooks, to rip to the body, land calf kicks, and I think he just gets eaten alive at 205. And at 205, I don't think it's very close either. I think this fight is very dependent on where it takes place, but let's be real. Alex Pereira, he is a 205er. That's what he is. That is where he fights the best. That is where his body holds up the best. I'm not a big fan of it at 185, but look, this is, I think, the fight to make. I think it's way more interesting than Sean Strickland versus DDP again, but I don't know. I think we're probably still maybe a year away from seeing it because they both have fights they got to finish. There's talks of Pereira going up to heavyweight now. So, look, who knows if we really see this fight happen, but I think it should. And I think, depending on where it is, it won't be close.